866.
Richard, my one big thing this week is a pretty interesting move by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. The PIF is starting a new company, the boldly named Saudi Coffee Company, which will, quote, provide support to the national coffee industry through the entire supply chain from bean to cup. It will also play a key role in developing production in the southern Jazan region, home to its Coffee Arabica, it said. The Saudi Coffee Company plans over the next 10 years to invest nearly 1.2 billion Saudi riyals, that's about $320 million, in the national coffee industry with the goal of boosting the country's production from 300 tons per year to 2,500 tons per year. The company also aims to establish a dedicated academy to train local talent, entrepreneurs, coffee plantation owners, and farmers as part of the PIF's focus on creating opportunities for small businesses and startups. So there's a little bit to get in here, Richard. You know that I love coffee so much. In fact, I could just drink only coffee for the rest of my life and be totally happy. And I love Saudi coffee too. And it's very unique. I think it's an underserved market in the US, but I don't want to reveal any business plans. This is, I think this is interesting, Richard. I think we talked about this a little bit this week. This is not just about production and supply for exports. This is also about consumption. Saudis are huge coffee drinkers. Data on this is a little hard to find, but Saudi Arabia is the 10th largest per capita consumer of coffee in the world. It actually imports a tremendous amount of coffee to meet that demand. And this move didn't come out of the blue. There's been some movement in this space. In January, the commercial name for Arabic coffee was officially changed to Saudi coffee in the kingdom's restaurants, cafes, stores, and roasters. I think another point that I want to make about this and why I think it's interesting is if you read this press release, this isn't the normal PIF playbook, which is sort of in the mergers and acquisitions mindset, it would seem. This is starting a new company from scratch and entering it into the market, but it really reads like it's starting a new industry, or really like they're starting a ministry of coffee. The press release says, you know, the Saudi Coffee Company, private company, would be in partnership with the private sector and, quote, support the kingdom's coffee industry along its entire value chain, creating an academy to learn about coffee. It's just a little confusing because this is not just, you know, creating a new company to enter a marketplace where there's already competition. This is a new company that hopefully, if it's successful, will dominate the marketplace. So it's just interesting and a very ambitious set of goals here for this new company, kind of off the playbook typically for the PIF.
Well, is it? And that's the question. And let me foreshadow a little bit. On June 26th, we've invited John Svakianakis, who was a good friend of ours. He's a tremendous economist. He works for the Gulf Research Center, Chatham House, but he has a banking background. And one of the things when we were talking about him coming on is I said, John, I want you to tell me what PIF is. What is it? Because I think it's a brand new thing. It's doing things that are simply not traditional for a sovereign wealth fund, and this is an example of that. And I think it's done this, you know, in other areas, but this is, you know, essentially, like you say, building a whole new sector, and then, you know, inviting the private sector to come in. And again, PIF, you know, continues to fascinate me in everything they do. You're right. If they do nothing else but replace imports, it will be a bonus because I was reading in domestic consumption in Saudi Arabia, according to Euromonitor, it will increase by 5% each year through 2026, reaching an estimated annual consumption of approximately 28,700 tons of coffee, which is more than 10 times the target volume for the new production investment. So in other words, you know, they could, you know, this new coffee initiative could be a rousing success and just barely put a dent in domestic consumption because the Saudis love their coffee.
Similar to natural gas in that way. I mean, the big thing was just sort of replacing the imports of natural gas as they developed a natural gas industry. Saudis love coffee. Saudis absolutely love coffee, and so do I.
And you had mentioned that Saudi Arabia has become the biggest importer of Ethiopian coffees, just ahead of Germany, Japan, and the United States, according to the USDA, Foreign Agriculture Service. So this is consistent in many ways, and I'll tell you, it's consistent. We'll do three ways. One, it's in putting forward sort of a cultural tradition. Coffee's big in Saudi Arabia, and it's traditionally been a very important part of its identity. It's just like PIF to try and basically, jumpstart a sector and industry that should create jobs and increase technical capability. And 3, it pisses off other people. There's all sorts of coffee aficionados that are, just beside themselves that they named it Saudi coffee because, of course, and you're the Saudi coffee expert, but coffee claims many origins, and there's many different types of coffee. And the purists were very upset that Saudi Arabia would presume to do this. And I think there is a distinctive Saudi coffee, which is what they're talking about here. But anyway, like I said, this is typical in many ways in that it's innovative, it's aggressive, it's aspirational, and also irritates the people.
I would have gone with Kingdom Coffee Company. I think that has a better ring to it, but that's just a personal preference. But yeah, very interesting. It's interesting to me that coffee is so widely consumed across virtually all countries and many cultures. It's like many people like it. It's funny though that my colleague and co-host here does not like it very much, and is not a coffee drinker. He's a tea guy, which is good. We got the whole balance here. So we'll do when they start the Saudi tea company, we'll trade off the one big thing and have you do that. This is very cool. And as we've mentioned, we've done a segment on coffee before, but I really, really love Arabic coffee. It's lighter roasted. It is like tea. It's flavored with cardamom. It's served in a dala or from a dala, and it's just so delicious. And you can put so much of it back, and you can just get completely jacked up on caffeine. It's the best.
By the way, and if there's any coffee that I like, it's that.
Yeah. Oh, you love it when we're there. Yeah. You crush it when you're there.
I don't, I'm not a big fan of Saudi coffee. And now that, all my family members drink coffee now. So I'm the lone holdout. So in the morning ritual, I'm just a sad dad in the corner.
What do you drink in the morning for your boost, or is it just it's a pure situation?
A variety of things. Things I like cold and crisp. I'm not going to admit what I drink in the morning.
That could be beer, but no more questions.
It could be a problem. Somebody might send in a hotline.